Well, let's bring you more insight on this exciting project. I'm joined here in studio by Doctor Kevit Desai. He's the coordinator of the SGR Private Secotr Consortium. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us in studio. From a private sector perspective, just how much of a game changer do you think the SGR will be on Kenya's economy?
Well, it'll certainly have a transformative effect. It'll have a transformative effect on our transportation structures. Currently, it takes more than 12 hours to freight equipment and facility on this same railway, and it's also unpredictable because the existing and the previous structures were highly dilapidated. With this structure, we'd be able to transport freight within 4.5 hours. So it's a considerable transformation in terms of time and logistics and capacities to link trade with their end destination.
And in terms of job creation and skills transfer, do you think that enough has been done, or at least an adequate amount of work has been done to ensure that skills are transferred and technology is transferred to local people?
This was one of our most important priorities because this infrastructure project is one of the largest of its kind, the most sophisticated, and therefore as private sector we not only wanted to benefit in terms of the advanced transportation structures, but also promote local manufacturing and services. Skills was a top priority, and what we realized in the first phase is that we needed to build capacities as far as our standards. To date, we've developed 4 occupational standards, one on instrumentation, the other on electrical systems, another on mechanical, and finally one on heavy and light machinery operations. We're hoping in the next phase that we'll have a lot more local participation of young people within the standardized frameworks in terms of providing skills for maintenance, repairs, as well as operations of this railway.
Indeed.
This will be a huge contribution towards employment and livelihood development.
And absolutely, and of course just a moment ago you mentioned that the SGR will essentially halve the travel time from Nairobi to Mombasa. Do you think there's going to be a boost in tourism as a result?
Yes, the SGR cuts across one of the largest national parks in the world, Tsavo, and so it'll be a game changer in terms of tourism. For the first time, tourists will have a direct option of being in the wilderness and at the same time the coast. And this would make the entire package more interesting and encouraging for tourists to visit Kenya.
Has there been any way so far, I mean tourism is certainly one key benefit, but the other that many people are looking at is trade. Has there been any way to sort of try and estimate just what will happen to trade in the region as a result, or at least in the country as a result of the SGR?
This will match the direct interests, political and economic will of creating a northern corridor integration projects where we'll have massive resort cities, massive infrastructure capacities, and we'll be able to localize centers of excellence. So to illustrate this further, if you buy raw steel from abroad, you could have a processing plant in Mombasa and then export it to destination as opposed to having the cost of sending the raw material inland. So this would make a remarkable contribution towards localized manufacturing, but also be able to promote capacities where we'd be able to integrate manufacturing based on a collaborative approach throughout the Northern Corridor. It'll make significant inroads into being able to supply within the East African region, the entire regional continent, thereby opening up greater trade opportunities and manufacturing opportunities simultaneously.
And indeed, if the railway link is of course extended to include other parts of East Africa, just what will that do for the region and its competitiveness compared to other parts of Africa?
I think as we've seen within Kenya's context and the railway between Mombasa and Nairobi, initially of course it was very difficult to supply to the railway in terms of local material, but with a coordinated approach, an approach with the help of government, help of standardization, we were able to supply 100% of the cement, which meant 600,000 tons between Mombasa and Nairobi. But you can imagine what it means now going onwards, because it means that we have the right material, the right specs, it's internationally capacitated to supply the entire regional network. And this would then create a massive opportunity for the cement industry. But we're hoping that this now leads to other industries like steel, plastics, electrical cables and so on, thereby promoting the industrialization of key sectors based on international standards and opening up massive opportunities globally to supply our local finished material.
Indeed, a game changer indeed. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Desai, joining us here in our Nairobi studios, and of course he's from the SGR's Private Sector Consortium.